right, let me set a scene for you. It's Friday. You're the head of IT for this massive company. The car's packed, the family's in, and you are heading out for a desperately needed vacation. You're finally offline, and then your phone buzzes.
Yeah, that's the call you get from one of your technicians. A user called in, said they couldn't get into their files. So the tech takes a look, and he sees that all the file names have been changed.
Now, for anyone in cybersecurity, that word, "Kinti," it sends a chill down your spine. It's the calling card of a very, very nasty ransomware crew. It's not just some random virus, it's a full-blown professional shakedown. And just like that, the vacation was over. He literally dropped his family off and drove 6 hours straight back to the office.
Okay, so let's really dig into what happened here, because this story, it perfectly exposes a huge fundamental flaw in how we've always approached security.
250. That's the number of servers that got encrypted. Now, for a company with 1,000 employees all over Europe, 250 servers isn't just some IT problem. That's their entire nervous system. Manufacturing, shipping, email, everything was completely frozen. But this is the part that is just mind-blowing. The whole thing took just 15 minutes. Think about that. In the time it takes to make a cup of coffee, they had lost everything. By the time the first alarm bells even started ringing, it was way, way too late. The damage was done. This isn't about technology. This is the human cost. The IT director worked 27 days in a row to fix this mess. I mean, the pressure was just unbelievable. You hear stories about team members fighting, people just walking out. It was an absolute pressure cooker. This wasn't just a technical crisis, it was a human one that pushed good people to their breaking point. So, here's the pivot point. Leadership had a choice to make. They could do a quick and dirty 5-day restore from backups and just cross their fingers. Or they could take the hard road, a painful 3-week-long total rebuild of everything, from scratch, the right way this time. And you know what? They chose the 3-week nightmare. They knew they couldn't just put a bandage on this, they had to change their entire philosophy.
And that decision, it really gets to the heart of why this disaster was even possible in the first place. It all comes down to a really old, really broken model of security.
So, for decades, security has been all about what we call the castle and moat model, right? You build a huge wall, a deep moat, a strong gate. The whole idea is to keep the bad guys out. But what happens if just one attacker finds a way across that moat? And this right here is the fatal flaw. The second an attacker gets past the outer defenses, maybe it's a sneaky phishing email, maybe a stolen password, they're suddenly treated like a trusted insider. They can wander around the network, access whatever they want, and plant their malware, all because the system is built on one very dangerous assumption, that anyone inside the walls is supposed to be there.
So, if that old model of trust but verify is a failure, what's the answer? Well, it means we have to completely flip the script. We need a new default setting for everything.
The best way to get your head around this is to think about a router versus a firewall. A router, like the one in your house, is basically designed to say yes to everything. It assumes all the traffic is friendly and just lets it flow. A firewall does the exact opposite. Its default setting is no. It blocks everything unless you write a very specific rule that tells it to let something through. That default to deny idea, that's the whole game.
The tech industry calls this application whitelisting, but really, it's just like having a bouncer with an incredibly strict guest list for your computer. If a piece of software, like that Kadante ransomware, walks up and its name isn't on the list, it's not getting in, period. The system doesn't care if it's a known threat or a brand new one. If it's not on the approved list, the answer is always no.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work when things get real? Let's look at another story, a totally different outcome. This time, it's at a hospital, and this exact approach gets put to the ultimate test. The beginning of this story is going to sound scarily familiar. An attacker buys legitimate administrative credentials on the dark web. They use them to log right into the hospital's network through a VPN at 3 a.m. They are past the castle walls, and they have the keys to the entire kingdom. But this is where the two stories go in completely different directions. The attacker, with the highest level of privilege you can have, tries to run their ransomware. And nothing. The tool is not on the pre-approved whitelist. The system doesn't try to figure out if it's bad. It just sees its name isn't on the list and slams the door shut. Access denied.
The attack was over before it even started. And you don't have to take my word for it. We know this worked because we heard it straight from the horse's mouth. After they got caught, the hackers actually told the investigators that they saw the security controls in place and knew it was hopeless. They just gave up and moved on. That's how effective this is.
So after hearing these two stories, what's the big takeaway here? It really comes down to understanding where your real power is when you're trying to build a defense. See, you can think about security as having three main pillars. You've got people, training them not to click on bad things. You've got detection, things like antivirus software that tries to spot threats. And then you have controls, rules that physically prevent certain actions from happening at all.
And here's the absolute truth of it all. You can train your people, but you can't guarantee a tired employee won't make a mistake. You can buy the best detection tools, but you can't guarantee they'll catch a brand new zero-day threat. The only thing you can actually truly guarantee are your controls. If you have a rule that says only these 50 programs can run, you have a 100% guarantee that program number 51 will be blocked every single time.
And that's really the question you have to ask yourself. This whole shift to zero trust, to default deny, is about moving away from a security strategy that's based on hope, hoping the user does the right thing, hoping the antivirus catches the malware. It's about moving to a strategy based on certainty. It's about knowing that even when an attacker gets in, they will be controlled and they will be stopped.